We're getting an Italian bike in the shop? No. Of course it's a scooter. Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Well, this is the first Italian branded bike that I have owned. I have my Husqvarna, which is a Swedish brand, but it was made by MV Agusta. Thank you. Whew, I had to think about that for a second. So I guess that is an Italian bike, but I ended up with this Aprilia Atlantic 500cc maxi scooter recently here. Some people that a friend of mine know, it's always some sort of a connection how I end up with stuff, but they contacted me quite a while ago to see if I could fix this thing, and I said I certainly could. They never got back to me. Then out of the blue they sent me a message that asked if I was interested in it, and I went and took a look at it, and sure enough I loaded it up and took it home. So let's take a peek at this giant scooter. This thing is massive. I should pull out the Tenere and put these two side by side. I bet it's about as long. I don't know what the weight on this thing is, but it's not light. Let's see, we have 14-inch wheels, a giant Barca lounger of a seat. It is huge. Nice instrument cluster. It's 100% stock, and it has 650 miles. This thing was purchased by an older gentleman. He rode it for a few years. He's 85 years old, and this thing has been sitting. He's the original owner. It's been sitting, and of course, you know, I never buy anything that operates, so let's see what we can figure out on this thing. Now, they put a new battery in it, so that was very nice. But we have no fuel pump. At 650 miles. I don't know how well you can see that. 650 miles. Yeah, no fuel pump when you turn the key on. You can hear a relay clicking back here. Can you hear that? Now it does crank over. But the fuel pump is not cycling. So what we're going to do is we'll pull the seat off. Actually, that's already been removed by the previous owners. And we will pull this cover off, and they have already removed a lot of the stuff off of that. I have a container full of screws and stuff in here. So there is our fuel injection unit here. And they also handed me this piece here. This is the fuel return. So I guess that's the pressure into the fuel injector, and then if there's excess pressure, it'll return here. This piece is broken. I've already ran into a fun fact of life with a, well, this is a 2003, 2004, I can't remember, but an almost 20-year-old Italian scooter that wasn't imported much to the US, and also Aprilia doesn't have a huge presence in the US to begin with. This part is no longer available. I found some places overseas I might be able to get it, but it's about 60 bucks, so we're going to try to come up with a solution for that. Let me get some spray. We'll spray some spray in here, see if we can make it kick over, and then we'll get working on it. And my favorite stuff there, my carburetor cleaner. We'll spray some in. Let's crank that throttle open a little bit. Alright, let's give her a shot. I heard it fire for just a second. Let's see if we can make a little bit more noise out of it. I got allergies today, I apologize. Yeah, this is a problem. Can't hold this thing straight up and down. try that. Alright, it fired for a quarter of a second, so I feel pretty confident if we can get this fuel pump working, we're going to have something. Okay, the fuel tank is under here. I'm sure the fuel pump is in there. So we got to get this plastic cover off. So I got a screw here and one on the other side, and I hate these scooters. So much plastic on them. Alright, well, let's take that off. And the same on the other side. And if I remember right, I took a quick peek at a picture of the manual. There's a screw under here. So, okay, after taking these pieces off, there's a screw underneath here. And of course I took these out and I started wiggling and it came out. It looks like there's a screw that's supposed to be up there, so someone's already been up in here because those screws weren't installed. And then there is a rubber piece that fits over this that I took off. You have to take the fuel cap off. And I've already removed these fuel lines. There's little catches in here. I just pushed them out of the way with a screwdriver and these popped right out. So I'm going to have to remove this one all the way back up to here and see if we can't come up with a solution for that. And now we just have to disconnect this connector. Yeah, someone's definitely been in here because there's these crappy splices on here. I don't care for that. And now it looks like we remove these 8mm bolts and this whole thing will come out. So I'm going to zip them off and then we'll come back. I'll show you taking this thing out of here. Now this fuel smells pretty rank, so that's another problem. We'll just have to drain that out. But let's see what happens here. Okay. Now we need to get that hose off of there. There we go. And the whole thing is out. There's our fuel pump. There should be some sort of a filter on here. I don't know if it fell off inside of there or what. There's our fuel gauge. So we'll take this whole thing over and we'll do some bench testing on it. When I looked at this thing, I thought I was going to be pretty lucky because I figured it was an Aprilia. It was Italian, and I had a spare fuel pump for my Husqvarna here. And I was like, all right, cool, that one's going to work, but it's considerably smaller. Now, and I got thinking about some other things, and I had ordered a fuel pump for my Husky that I thought was the right one, and I've had it thrown up in the parts bin for a while. And that one looks like it might just work in this application. And it comes with all the attaching goodies in here too, including the wire, which is the only major difference I see between here. But before we go that far, let's see if we can pull this pump off of here and figure out what is going on with it. It also looks like there should be a clamp in here. Yeah, so someone's definitely been in here before. That's okay. Alright, so I'm gonna work this thing out of here. Slide this hose off of here. It looks like it's just held on with this clip possibly, because the whole thing rotates in this housing. Yeah, I don't like the fact that there's no filter on here. And inside of that gas tank is nasty dirty, ladies and gentlemen, really bad. So I'm going to work on getting this thing off and then we will bench test it. So in order to remove this particular filter, I had to take this little, I forget what they call these kind of clips, but that was holding this plastic bit on. Then wiggled it on out of there, disconnected the fuel line. So we have it all off, and what I'm going to do is we're going to just hook some wires up to my battery here and to the connections inside of there, and we're going to see if we can hear this thing clicking or making any noise or anything like that. There we go. Yeah, it's I'd say it's not long for this world, or it's done for this world. But you never know. Actually, let's do a side-by-side here. Major difference is the bottom filter here, but since this doesn't have a filter, we're probably just smarter to hook up this one and see how it fits. Looks like it's slightly smaller, but I'll bet that it will be just fine. Overall length is about the same. This looks about the same. Yeah, I think maybe our best bet is going to be just to hook this one on. Let's not even mess around with testing this one. We already know it doesn't work. I could probably spray cleaner in there and get it to work. We'll set it aside and we will work towards this one. Okay, so what I've done is I brought this whole fuel pump assembly back over here, plugged it into here. I hooked the here's the new fuel pump and the wire leads that go to that one, and I have just jammed them into the original one. Okay, I know it's a little bit hokey, but here we go. And I have the key switch off, so here, let's, oh, we gotta turn the key on. Hang on, key's gotta be on first now. There you go. Ooh, hopefully you didn't break it. But you can hear it's working. So we know our whole circuit works here. So now all we have to do is figure out how to get this thing installed in here so it's going to work properly. So let's bring it all back to the bench and we'll figure that out. In the box of stuff that came with this, this is a Toyota fuel pump, by the way. I think it's for a Tacoma. It probably fits about a dozen Toyotas. But like I said, besides being a little bit smaller diameter and having a different connection, I think it's going to work. But in the box of things that came with it here, it's got this sleeve, fits over the bottom of it. Now that makes it a little bit too big to fit, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a slot out of this and maybe just cut a little piece out of it and then put it into here on the bottom of this, and then that should hold it in there tight enough that it'll work. Otherwise I'm gonna look around, maybe see if I have some rubber hose or some rubber sleeving or something. Most of it should be good for the fuel. I'm 99.99% sure this will be fine for fuel since it came with this kit. Obviously it belongs in fuel. And then all I have to do is splice these connections onto here. So I'm going to cut this original. I'll keep that, and I'll keep this. I'll just set it aside and label it that it's for this. That way if I ever have to try to find one of these again, I'll have the right connections. But let me do a little modifying, see what we come up with on this. I cut away about a little bit more than half of it, and it fits in there really nicely now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on here. We're going to try to get this thing back installed. We're going to get a clamp on here. We're going to install this sock filter, and we will splice this and put it in here, put it in the tank. I was thinking as I was finishing up the assembly on this thing that I didn't really mention why I'm going through all the trouble of adapting this. Well, you can't purchase just this item here from Aprilia, and like I said, that other connection is discontinued, that one on the fuel injector, but this is still available. But you have to buy this entire assembly, and it's almost $700. So that's why we're going through the trouble of making this one work. I didn't even look online to see if there was anything else available. There might be some that fit a little better than this one, but all in all it worked pretty decent. I've got it installed. I need to heat shrink these down still, and I put a clamp there, got that clip there, and we have the sock on here. And I've also drained the fuel and cleaned out the bottom of the fuel tank. Nasty, but fortunately you can get in here. That's kind of nice. And I realized that that pump actually comes off of this whole thing here, so I didn't have to pull that all out, but that's okay. So now what we're going to do, like I said, we'll heat shrink this thing up, get this installed, and then I'll do a quick test once again. Well, I'll do that probably before I drop it in there, make sure that it works, and then we'll figure out something for that quick connect on the fuel injector. So it looks like probably the heat from being near the engine and age and probably mishandling is what broke this thing. And I was looking around in my junk drawers here, and I found a few things that I think might work. This little plastic union kind of fits in here. I had it jammed in there pretty good, but I don't think it's going to fit well into that section there. That's the broken off bit off of here. This one's too big, of course. It would probably fit well in there, but I could probably drill this out a little bit. I like the idea of this metal one. Now I would have to cut it off and then machine this down somehow on my garage tools that I have. This one I don't think it's going to work. It probably will fit in there if I cut that end off of there, but then once again, like I said, it's probably going to be too small. I think my first order of business is going to be to try to get this out of here, so without messing up the fuel line too much. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my drill. I'm going to drill this out progressively till it gets really thin, and then try to break it out of there, and then see which one of these is going to work okay. Now if I have to cut this end off and move this forward a little bit, that obviously this is bigger up here, so if something like this will fit in there better, well, we'll find out. I drilled it out to 7/32, and now this little plastic one seems to be almost going in there. I think what I might try to do, now this is not a permanent repair by any means, don't discredit me online here for this, but what I might do is try to push this in here and then do the same over here. And this is just going to be to test to see if this scooter runs, and then if I get this to work, then we can come up with a little bit better permanent solution a little bit later. But as long as, like, the return line shouldn't have that much pressure, I don't think. So I'm going to work this on here, and we'll see if we can get an acceptable temporary solution. Okay, now that's just jammed in there. There's no adhesive or sealant or anything. I'm turning the key on, and I cycled the fuel pump. Cycled the fuel pump again. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Cycled the fuel pump. Oh, you can see there's some leakage there, but we have fuel up there. Let's bring it back and see if she'll fire up. We have liftoff. We have fuel leakage here. No surprise. Ooh, it's spraying out quite a bit actually. Let's shut it off. Yeah, look at that. Okay, but now we know that the scooter runs. So now we can try to come up with a better solution for that. Okay, now I just need to figure out which one of these I want to try to use. This one might work. I mean, plastic into plastic would be great. I think I could use some adhesive. It might hold for a good while. I'm probably going to go online and research this and see if I can find an alternate one that I can order. So I don't want to do like permanent damage to this area if I can help it. I did a repair like this on my son's R6, a temporary repair which lasted quite a long time. Actually, we used JB Weld, so I might do that. So I may also cut this off just past this little knob there and put it all the way in there, and then hit that with some JB Weld. So I'm gonna think about it a little bit, and we'll come back after I have an idea of exactly how we're gonna do this. I cut the tip off of it, ground it down on the file by installing it in the drill, and there's your fit. So I'm gonna mix up some of that JB Weld, and we're gonna set that thing, and I'll probably come back whatever the cure time is for this, and then we'll see how she looks. I tried this stuff out here. It says it's impervious to gas. I don't know. It's worth a shot. I just ordered a fitting, Bundy fitting, in case you're ever looking for one of these. That's what they're called, Bundy. So let's try to get that back installed onto here, and we'll see how she's working, if it doesn't leak or not. But good old Scamazon should be bringing my Bundy fitting tomorrow or the next day. Well, I just cycled it on. It's already leaking a little bit. It's not spraying like it was. Yeah, I think I'm going to probably just chip this stuff off and try the other JB Weld, but I ordered up a 90-degree fuel fitting, but in the meantime I tried some of the regular JB Weld, and we have 0 leaks here. I've been running it. Let's see if I can start it while we're on camera. Yeah, so we have 0 leaks as is. I peeled off that other stuff, or most of it. I don't know, maybe that water weld, JB Weld, is okay stuff. That one might be an older tube. I don't even remember buying it. I think someone gave it to me. So in the meantime, I have peeled off the warning stickers here that were all cruddy and crummy, and cleaned up the majority of the sticky stuff behind them, and I did a real quick bath on this thing. So now I think the last thing I got to do is just piece it together. I'm going to leave that, like I said, I'm going to leave that for now. So I'm just going to piece it together and take her for a spin. Zero to 30, I didn't open it wide open. We're still cold, but it doesn't feel a whole lot faster than my 250 at this point, but it's a heavier machine as well. And we're more than double the speed limit here, so I better slow down a little bit. It's way smoother than the 250 is, that's for sure. Better wind protection. I mean, it has a whole giant fairing in front of you here, so your legs, your body, all the way up to the windshield is at just about under my eyes, like at my chin, maybe my nose. All in all, not too bad. Well, all in all, didn't turn out too bad, considering I had a fuel pump in my parts stash, and we just used some JB Weld to fix that fuel injector connector. Hey, we fixed it for pretty much nothing at this point. Now, this scooter still needs a full service. I got to go through and flush and bleed the brakes, change the oil, put new tires on it. I should probably do the coolant as well. I mean, it's all going on 20 years old. This is a 2003 scooter, so even though it only has 650 miles, the full service is in. It's in the cards for this thing. So I might just do a full service video on the next one, but we got it going. We rode it, and it rides pretty good. I didn't want to get going too much faster because the tires are not in the best of shape. But we'll get some tires on order and we'll check that out. Alright, so that, like I said, we're going to be coming back to this Aprilia hopefully. We'll do a full maintenance on it and see how she does after everything is up and running. Alright, if you're liking my content, give me a thumbs up. Please leave some comments down below, and if you're not already a subscriber, please consider doing so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.